Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and podcast. If you don't know already, my name is Chris. I am a host of several things on the channel, but today we will be taking a little deep dive into the current situation at Newcastle United. And yes, it's the talking point, the main thing that has been on many fans for the last few weeks, if not months now, Newcastle's injury concerned. And can we field a starting 11 with injured or suspended players at the club? Let's just dive straight into it because there's quite a few to go through, which you'll already know, but the list is ever growing at this moment in time. I think we'll have to address straight away that goalkeeping situation. We're fine. We've got Nick Pope in goal, and we have a great backup keeper in Martin Dubravka as well. Karius is currently Newcastle United's third choice goalkeeper. Everything's fine at the moment. There's no issues with goalkeeping. I think it may be the only position on the field where Newcastle are yet to pick up an injury, suspension, whatever it may be. But fingers crossed it stays that way because losing your goalkeeper can be a huge issue. But let's just go through the outfield players because this is where it gets a little bit tricky for Eddie Howe and the players left at his disposal. That pool of players is becoming smaller on a weekly basis. So let's just start with centre backs. I think we'll have to address Sven Botman first of all. That's probably the one player who has been injured the majority of the time. He picked up a knee injury. Can't remember exactly what game it was, but he did pick up a knee injury, and Jamel Lascelles came in. I think it may have been PSG, possibly the first game that Lascelles played, or maybe Man City in the Cup. I can't remember which one. But Lascelles done a great job. But we are talking about the injuries and suspensions today. So, like I said, Sven Botman picked up a knee injury, and the last update that we had was at the very start of this month, 10th of November. Eddie Howe said there's no massive news on Sven. He is progressing well, and he's been away in the Netherlands getting special treatment. He did return back in that first week of November. I think Sven Botman's situation, it's something which is ongoing. We keep on hearing different news that there's been hurdles put in the way, there's been setbacks, but then just last week we said that he's on target and he may even be ahead of schedule. So your guess is as good as everybody else's when it comes to Sven Botman. But I think a lot of people panicked when Botman was out and thought the backup that we're having in the cells, then people don't dislike the cells, and people realise that he is a decent player. He really is, and he has had a great time at Newcastle United, been a great servant for this club and captain of the club. But I think a lot of people were quite anxious with Lascelles coming in, knowing how well Sven Botman had done since his arrival on Tyneside. But you know what is, hats off. Lascelles has been top notch. He really has. He's shocked me. He's probably shocked most people watching as well. So yes, Botman being injured, it was a huge concern. Still is a huge concern. But Lascelles is doing a very good job in his absence. Moving across, of course, we can pick another centre back. We currently have an injury to Dan Burn as well. Dan Burn was ruled out with a back injury, and Dan Burn started the season well since he's arrived here. He's been absolutely great. He really has done, and I think Dan Burn was another one where a lot of fans would look at him and criticise his performances, and think he's not your typical forward thinking fullback, but maybe he's not. But what Dan Burn gives you is in defence is great. He comes up against these players and Saka and Mbappe and whoever it may be, and you're thinking, he might get found out today, but he doesn't. He keeps on plodding along and puts in decent performances. But Dan Burn does have a lower back injury. Last update which we had from Dan Burn was November the 6th. Once again from Eddie Howe. Unfortunately, Dan will be out for some time. It could be a couple of months. It is what it is with Dan Burn. Like I said, potential return date is in the new year now. I think it's the back end of January, where we're hoping to see Dan Burn back. And let's not forget, this is recovering from injury, still yet to have up to speed with fitness and match fitness, the huge concern as well. So we've just got to take Dan Burn's injury with a pinch of salt and just wait for the updates to arrive, because like I said, it is going to be into the new year before Dan Burn returns. I think sticking with the theme of long-term injuries, I think we'll have to look on the left-hand side now, and we've got an injury to Matt Targett. Matt Targett picked that up against the Man United, I believe it was, in the Cup. He went off pretty early on. He was playing a random centre defensive midfield role, and all for about 5-10 minutes before he picked up the injury, and it was a thigh injury, which Target picked up. Once again, last update was the start of this month before the international break, just after the game, and we're made aware that Target would be having a scan as well. And once again, with it being a hamstring injury, they can be quite lengthy depending on how it is and how severe the injury is. There's no return date set in stone for Target, and which, once again, you're looking at that left-hand side now, and we've got the upcoming game against Chelsea, and we can't play Lewis Hall either, so he's going to be missing in that game. So we'll see what happens in that position. Does Trips move over the left back and Tino come in at right back? God knows that's Eddie Howe's selection headache, not mine or yours, thankfully. Moving over to the other side of the field, and if we look at the right back situation, we only currently have one injury to our right backs, and it is Manquillo. It feels as if Manquillo has been injured for God knows how long. He seems to pick up an injury, return to fitness, make an appearance on the bench, then pick up another injury, disappears. I was shocked to still see Manquillo at the football club out of the transfer window. I thought he would have been one of the players to go out, but he's still here, albeit injured, just like everybody else we're going to go through. And once again, no return date for Manquillo. I believe his is a hip injury as well. Hips/groin/whatever it may be, because I think there's quite a few injuries with Manquillo. Once again, no return date, but Manquillo is probably one of the players where he wasn't going to get much game time anyway, because obviously the two players ahead of him being Trippier and Tino Livramento as well. So Manquillo, yes, he is on this injury list. He is in this starting 11, which is all missing a goalkeeper, as you can see. But we're looking at the outfield players, and yeah, it's no real concern whatsoever with Manquillo. Like I said, he's not one of the players that springs to mind when you're talking about starting 11, or players that are even making the match day squad. The rest of the players which we're going to go through, these are important players to Newcastle. And I think we'll start it off by mentioning Sandro Tonali. Yes, he's not injured. At the start of the video, I did say it would be injuries and suspensions. Sandro suspended for betting on football. Obviously, we've all heard the news about that one. And so I think the last update which we had from Eddie Howe was where it was just before the Dortmund game, I believe, where Eddie said that I haven't had official confirmation yet, and Tonali could feature in that match. Obviously, flash forward now, we know for fine well that he didn't. His potential return date is August, so that's a full season gone for Tonali. Luckily, I think he can still train at Newcastle United. I'm not 100% certain on that. I think we're still trying to iron out the details of it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, he can still train. Huge miss, Tonali. Comes into the club with huge potential and a massive reputation. It hasn't gone to plan, or far from it, but it is what it is when it comes to that. There's nothing which we can do as a fan base. There's nothing which Eddie Howe can do as a coach, or the owners can do right now, because it's just one of those things, and you just have to accept his punishment, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets the help that he does need and moves on from that. If we move over and who we are going to decide to partner Sandro Tonali in our made-up starting 11, and it's got to be Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson has a stress fracture to his lower back, I believe it also was. Very similar to Dan Burn with a back injury. Once again, potential return date is the back end of the year. So it's probably heading into 2024. So huge miss for us. We'll look a bit short in that centre midfield position now. Yes, we'll have Willock return from injury, but now we have Bruno, Joe Linton, Sean Longstaff, and Willock that can all play in that role. I still think we're a bit light on there, because Bruno only ever looks 2 matches away from a suspension, and Joe Linton picks up a yellow card every single game by the looks of it. So there'll be a suspension coming up pretty soon for Joe Linton as well. And Bruno, Elliot Anderson, he's got such a bright future ahead of him, and we thought this could potentially be his, not necessarily his breakthrough season, but the chance where we would see him more and get more minutes under Eddie Howe. And I think we're on course to seeing that. Unfortunately, he has picked up the injury, but luckily for him, if he does obviously get back to fitness at the start of the new year, still got X amount of months to get that opportunity. If we look over onto the left-hand side, and this is a player which people keep on forgetting to mention when we're talking about injuries, and it's probably because he is a new signing to the club, and he hasn't really featured a huge amount considering. But Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side. I love Harvey Barnes, absolutely love him as a player, and he has done well since coming into the team. But once again, he is ruled out, and this is as I think it's mid-December. I think we're looking at a return for Harvey Barnes. That's everything going to plan. I think he is training, and when I'm saying training, I think he's back on grass, working on the likes of just movement, footwork, running, whatever it may be. I'm not sure if he's yet to kick a ball yet, but obviously you've got to wait for the bone to heal in his foot, I believe it was, that he injured. But like I said, potential return date for Harvey Barnes was mid-December. I'm sure we will get more updates from Eddie Howe when he does his press conference, which will be coming up on Friday for that Chelsea game as well. Jump over to the right-hand side, and it's the main man, Jacob Murphy. As we are fully aware, Jacob Murphy had issues with his shoulders. It popped out in one game, and he took a risk against Arsenal. And he came out on social media afterwards and said that he thought it was a risk worth taking. As we saw, he came on, made a substitution appearance, and he lasted around about 10 minutes, I want to say, before his shoulder went again, popped out. He was chasing the ball down, tracking the ball down towards goalkeeper, and it just popped, and you could see he's almost just elevated the right-hand side, couldn't put that arm down. You could see the pain that he was in. Obviously, we'll have some of the photos now where he has had his surgery. So fingers crossed, it's not a huge time out for Jacob Murphy, because he is one of the players, and one of the players that has probably turned fans' opinions as well. Jacob Murphy didn't have a great time when he arrived, but under the coaching of Eddie Howe, and do you know what it is? I'm saying the coaching Eddie Howe, but it's down to Jacob Murphy as well. He's been an absolute revelation since the turnaround which he's had, and I think he's probably became a fan favourite, not in regards to football and talent or what it may be, but obviously his antics and his cheekiness, which you see on and off the field as well. His return date, we're looking at once again the start of 2024, I believe it is, the very start of February, which we're hoping to see Jacob Murphy back, and I can't wait to see him back. Next up, we've got to look at the two main men up top. I'm going to start with Alexander Isak, because he is a doubt for the weekend. I think it's 50-50 if he's going to make it. Isak, we've missed him. We really have missed him. And the injuries which Isak has been picking up, they've been more or less muscle injuries. And do you know what it is? It feels like it's becoming a regular occurrence. This time, I believe it was his groin, I believe again, which is gone. Like I said, he is in the running for that Chelsea game, but will Eddie Howe risk him? Is he match fit? We don't know yet. So yeah, Isak up top. I think we'll have to discuss Callum Wilson a little bit, yeah, because Callum Wilson in this made up starting 11. I keep saying starting 11, even though it's only 10. I'm sure I can find somebody that's injured to put in goal as well. Yeah, Callum Wilson, he just can't last a full season. I think Callum Wilson at this moment in time, he has got the best goal scoring ratio in the Premier League, and that's credit to him. He's an absolute fantastic player. And do you know what it is, when we're looking at Newcastle United strikers over the years and over the decade, you've got to look at Callum Wilson, and he's in the mix amongst the big boys. Yes, Shearer goes top of that list every single time, but when you're talking about of Les Ferdinand, Demba Ba, Papi Cisse, Callum Wilson's up there as well, probably followed by obviously Shearer up top, and then Callum Wilson for me, and Demba Ba around that mix, because Callum Wilson wearing that number 9 shirt, he's been great, and let's be honest, he hasn't played in the best of teams when it comes to Newcastle, but injury concerns with Callum Wilson, it's always the case. And do you know what it is? I absolutely adore Wilson. He's a great number 9, and unlucky for him, the injury record which he has, it just continues to grow, and it is a concern. If he had been fully fit for his career, not just on Newcastle, but right the way through, he would have got that call up for England earlier. he would have probably went on and won things at football clubs, because I honestly think he is that good. He really is, and he's an absolute shithouse, and we know how much we love a shithouse up here on Tyneside. But Callum Wilson's return date once again the back end of this year. So it's another one that's still a couple of months away from match fitness and return from injury. It's a thigh injury with Callum Wilson. And do you know what it is? I'm absolutely devastated for him. I really am. Had to pull out the England squad as well. And I honestly believe he would have got some minutes as well whilst he was away on international duty. But it's just not to be for Callum Wilson. And I'm absolutely gutted for him. I'm devastated because, like, I keep on saying it, but he is a great player, and it's just a shame that we don't get that run of games, which we would love to see from Callum Wilson. But there it is. That is your starting 10/11. 10 outfield players, no goalkeeper, luckily for Newcastle United. If you did like this sort of content, just drop a comment below. Talk about some of the injuries which I've missed. Obviously, we haven't even touched on some of the doubts which could have been your substitute options. Fabian Shaw's a doubt. Miguel Almiron's a doubt. There's so many. But one question for you is, before I go, if you do just want to leave a comment with your answer as well, which player are you hoping to see back soon? So if you could pick one player out of that full list of 10 that which we have gone through there now, who is that one player that you would like to see back quicker than the rest? Is it Callum Wilson? Is it Isak? Who would it be? Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. And if you want to give an extra bit back, you can become a member. It is just $2.99 a month to do that. You do get early access to videos. You get extra videos as well and extra content. You get access to that all-important Telegram group, which is like-minded Newcastle United fans, chatting all things Newcastle. As you can probably see, injury topics that have been quite the running theme for a few weeks now. But yeah, I've been your host, Chris. See you next time. Ta-ra.